Nadia found the envelope on a Tuesday, wedged between an electricity bill and a pizza leaflet, as if the world had decided that grief should arrive without ceremony. Her name was written in her mother's handwriting, that old-fashioned cursive she had spent 60 years perfecting, each letter leaning slightly to the right like a line of trees bent by the same persistent wind. Nadia stood at the letterbox for a long time, her coat still on, the January air pressing cold against her back. Her mother, Suraya, had died 11 days ago. The funeral had been small and quiet, just the way Suraya had always wanted things. No fuss, no drama, a few hymns and then the earth. Nadia had held herself together through all of it. She had made the tea, greeted the relatives, accepted the casseroles. She had not cried, not once, and people had said she was so strong, so composed, and Nadia had nodded and smiled and felt like she was watching her own life through a window from very far away. She carried the letter to the kitchen table. She set it down. She made tea. She sat. She looked at the envelope for 7 minutes. She counted, watching the clock on the microwave, before she opened it. My dearest Nadia, if you are reading this, then I have gone before I got the chance to say the things that needed saying. I have been carrying them for years, waiting for the right moment. I am beginning to understand there is no right moment. There is only now or never. I want you to know that I was proud of you every single day of your life, not the days you were exceptional, though you were often. I mean the ordinary days, the days you kept going when going was hard, the days you were kind when you were tired. Those are the days that made you who you are. I am sorry I did not say it more. I come from a generation that confused silence with strength. I was wrong. You were always enough, my love. You were always more than enough. All my love, now and beyond, Mama. The sound that came out of Nadia was not a cry. It was something older than crying, a sound that seemed to rise from somewhere beneath her ribs, from the place where 38 years of her mother's love had quietly lived. She pressed the letter to her chest and bent forward and let it come. All of it, everything she had held so carefully since that first terrible phone call, since the hospital corridors, since the hymns and the earth and the casseroles. She had always tried to make her mother proud. That was the truth she had never fully admitted to herself. Not in therapy, not in her journal, not in the long conversations with her sister on Sunday evenings. Nadia was a woman who had quietly structured her entire existence around a question she had never dared ask aloud. Is it enough? Am I enough? Her mother had not been a cold woman. She had been warm in the particular way of women who had been taught that love is a verb, not a noun, expressed through ironed school uniforms and extra portions at dinner and sitting silently beside you when you were sad, not touching, just being there, a warm, steady presence like a radiator in winter. But the words had come rarely, like a shy bird, glimpsed and then gone. Nadia sat at the kitchen table until the tea went cold and the winter light faded from gray to dark. She read the letter 4 times. On the 4th reading, something loosened in her, some tightly wound thing she had not even known she was holding. She exhaled, and it felt like setting down a suitcase she had carried so long she had forgotten it was heavy. She thought about the last time she had seen her mother alive, 3 weeks before the end, sitting in the garden despite the cold because Suraya had always loved gardens, loved the stubborn courage of things that grow. She had looked at Nadia with her dark, steady eyes and said simply, "You turned out well." Nadia had laughed, embarrassed, and changed the subject. She wished now that she had said, "I learned from you." Later that night, Nadia sat down and wrote her own letter, not to anyone living, to her mother. She wrote about the garden and the ironed school uniforms. She wrote about the Sunday curries that had made the whole house smell of cardamom and belonging. She wrote about the arguments, too, the years of friction, the ways they had misunderstood each other, the words that had been said and the words that should have been said instead. She wrote it all, every page full and unhurried. When she was done, she folded the letter and held it for a moment. Then she placed it in an envelope, wrote Mama on the front in her own imperfect handwriting, and set it beside her mother's letter on the table, the two of them resting together in the quiet kitchen, the conversation continuing somehow across whatever it is that separates us from the ones we love. Nadia made fresh tea. She sat with both letters in the lamplight. Outside, the January wind moved through the trees, bending them gently, persistently, the way it always had. She was not finished grieving. She knew that. Grief is not a room you pass through. It is a country you learn to live in, slowly finding where the roads lead, which silences are peaceful and which are hollow. But for the first time in 11 days, and perhaps much longer than that, she felt something she recognized as solid ground beneath her feet. Her mother had loved her, had always loved her, had just lacked